Hey guys, it's Courtney King with King Realty and Management. I'm actually out in the field right now, so excuse any cars going behind me. Real quick, we're going to be talking about resale factors. So anytime I'm working with a home buyer or an investor looking to add a property to their portfolio, I'm always looking at the resale factors at the beginning of our transaction, because I know that life happens and sometimes investors want to make moves and liquidate their portfolio or sell off a couple of properties, and 9 times out of 10 they come to me to do that. And so I always like to make my clients aware of some of those factors that may affect them when it comes to selling a property at a later date. Okay, so this can apply to both real estate investors as well as kind of the normal home buyer out there looking for a home. Recently we were looking at, I was showing a home buyer a property, and it was on a really nice cul-de-sac in a newer community, but right across the street, it was a pretty wide street, but right across the street there were apartments. So that's one thing. The surrounding properties may affect a person's ability to resell a property at a future date. Okay, so if you are buying a single family home, for instance, and it's surrounded by an apartment complex or it's surrounded by townhomes, depending on where those other types of properties are in proximity to the house that you're considering, that may affect you at a later date. So I think that's one thing that you should take into consideration is the other houses around there. Okay. Another thing, some of my investors look at properties that have garage conversions, and from a rental perspective, garage conversions don't usually detract from a property. A lot of rental properties, tenants really don't care if there's a garage, because oftentimes they would actually want to use that space as living space anyway. So when it comes to renting a property, I don't think looking at a property that has a garage conversion hurts you at all. But if in the future you want to sell it more on the retail market, so kind of instead of selling it to another investor, selling it to an individual that plans to occupy the property, then yeah, you may run into quite a few people that are like, no, I want my home that I live in to have an actual garage. So that's another thing. Also, proximity to power lines, believe it or not. Those really large power lines emit different electromagnetic waves, and those could impact you selling that property in the future, because a lot of people don't want their homes by really large power lines. So I think that's another factor that you should consider. Last but not least, schools. So we talked about proximity to apartments and stuff like that, but also the school ratings, I think, impact you in terms of the rental, although it's not as pronounced. But if you go to sell that property in the future to an individual buyer that is looking to occupy the property, the school ratings in that community may affect your ability to sell. So if your schools, I forget how they rank them, I know it's exemplary, but let's say they have an F rating, just know that may impact the pool of buyers that would be interested in buying in that particular community. So these are just a handful of things that I'm always aware of. I think both investors and individual buyers get so excited at the start of a transaction, and I think that's beautiful. But I also think that we need to just be very realistic and look 3 to 5 years down the line to make sure that there's not going to be any factors or challenges that we can't overcome when it comes to selling the property. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any other factors that you think would be worthwhile considering when you're buying a home and just looking at the whole future resale, definitely chime in, comment below. If you have any other questions for me, you can reach out to me either by commenting below, sending me a direct message, or visiting our website, kingrealtytx.com. We're also on other social media platforms, Instagram and Twitter at KingRealtyDFW, and YouTube is youtube.com/KingRealtyTX. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of the day, and I will talk to you later.